tributaries. Under Islamic rule, Jews and Christians were permitted full administrative and judicial control over their communities through their religious authorities, the bishop or rabbi. Jews and Christians were allowed to keep their original faith and live under Islamic supremacy within the Ummah in a tolerated, protected status and pay a tribute tax. Islam regards Jews and Christians as religio-political communities, as Islam sees itself, but inferior. The status of Jews and Christians under Islam is one of natural inequality based on divine beliefs, because Jews and Christians failed to recognize Muhammad as the final messenger of God, thereby accepting Islam. Islamic rule recognizing a place, albeit an inferior one, for other revealed religions represented a considerable advance for the era. The very idea of coexistence, even in a state of inequality, and the granting of self-administration, though oppressive by modern standards, was tolerant by medieval standards. According to a hadith, the Prophet once said, "Allah would torment those who torment people in the world. Beware of the supplication of the oppressed, for there is no barrier between him and Allah. Whoever will kill a tributary will not smell the fragrance of paradise." The Covenant of Umar. As Islam expanded through Africa and Asia, it subjugated and absorbed millions of people. As Islam was the true path, Muslim conquerors saw themselves as the rightful heirs of Jewish and Christian civilization, monuments, culture, and history. Mosques were built on the holiest of Jewish temples and Christian churches. Many cities lost their original names. Amid, Armenia, was renamed Diyarbakir. Constantinople became Istanbul. Jerusalem was renamed Al-Quds, and Hebron became Al-Khalil. Though many hadiths cited the Prophet's admonitions against mistreatment of protected peoples, the dhimmi status evolved to one of oppression and humiliation as a new body of rules emerged, known as the Covenant of Umar, all to demonstrate the absolute supremacy of Islam. The new dhimmi system would be practiced over an expanse of continents for over 1,000 years. The implementation and harshness or level of tolerance for dhimmi under Islam varied depending on time and place and the ruler. Discriminatory taxes. Kharaj was a tax on cultivating land for farming. Jizya, a poll tax often paid at a humiliating public ceremony in which the dhimmi was struck on the head. In some areas, a receipt for the jizya was worn around the neck as a mark of dishonor. Places of worship. The construction of new synagogues and churches was forbidden. Liturgy. The ringing of church bells, the sounding of the ram's horn, shofar, in public was prohibited. Burial. Dhimmi cemeteries considered as being within the realm of hell were not respected. Law. Dhimmi testimony in court was not considered valid based on hadiths, which maintained that non-believers were of perverse and diabolic nature because they persisted in denying the superiority of Islam. Public administration. Dhimmi were excluded from public office, so a non-believer should never exercise authority over Muslims. Living quarters. Dhimmi houses had to be smaller than Muslims. Slaves. Dhimmi were not permitted to own slaves who converted to Islam. Matrimony. Marriage or sexual relations between dhimmi and Muslim women was punishable by death. However, a Muslim man could marry a dhimmi woman. Degrading tasks. Jews and Christians were commonly assigned to public works projects, such as the digging of cisterns, the construction of bridges, roads, and train tracks. Riding animals. Riding a noble animal, such as a horse or camel, by dhimmi was regarded as a grave offense. Outside of towns, dhimmi were allowed to ride on donkeys. A dhimmi would typically have to dismount and pass a Muslim on foot to show respect. The Islamic Empire, Golden Ages and Crusader clashes. Islamic outlook on the world. By military conquest, Islam had spread throughout the Middle East, Africa, Europe, and Asia. The Golden Age of Islam found many races and cultures unified under Islam, while the Arabic language and culture now dominated the civilized world. Muslims of every age traveled by foot, beast, or sea, crossing huge expanses of parched desert to complete the sacred journey to Mecca, even if it took years. The intermingling of peoples from vast societies, with its Islamic emphasis on equality and brotherhood, helped build a feeling of common purpose and Islamic community throughout the empire. This resulted in an exciting exchange of ideas. The Islamic Empire became the most advanced civilization in the world, and it reinforced the belief in the divinity of the Ummah and the superiority of Islam. Muslims enjoyed a standard of living that surpassed the rudimentary village life of Christian Europe. Saqid ibn Ahmad, the Qadi, or judge of the Muslim city of Toledo, wrote a book in 1068 describing the center and highest level of civilization in the world as the territory of Islam. The northern Christian societies represented an arrested stage of development, and to the far north and south were white and black barbarians. Muslim advances.
اما ملت بزرگ ما که قرنها از پیشتازان علم و تمدن و فرهنگ در جهان بوده است سوخت هسته‌ای قرار می‌گیرد.
The experimentation by Arabs with powders, elements, and compounds evolved into the science of chemistry. The names of many chemicals originated with Arab alchemists, including alcohol, alkali, soda, alembic, and syrup. The basic components of the Arab laboratory, flasks, beakers, and vials, were adopted worldwide and are still in use today. With the Islamic conquests, Muslim doctors began adding knowledge and innovation to the field of medicine. The best-known Muslim physician was Al-Razi, known as Razis by Europeans, who produced a vast medical encyclopedia. By the 10th century, Muslims were able to conduct abdominal and cranial surgery. Modern optics were pioneered by 10th century Persian physicist Ibn Haytham, known as Al-Hazan. Muslim cities were well planned, hosting fountains, public baths, running water, and public libraries. A distinctive Islamic architecture spread with Islam. Characteristics included large rounded domes, minarets, mosaic tiles, marbled walls, colored glass, patios, and tiled roofs. Muslim artisans produced handcrafted items considered the most elegant in the world, including tapestries, carpets, pottery, and glassware. As the jihad took Muslims into uncharted lands, Muslim geographers created maps, atlases, and calendars by rediscovering the Greek astrolabe, a device used in antiquity to calculate locations by the elevation of the sun or star. While searching the skies, Muslim astronomers confirmed ancient Greek knowledge of planet locations, examined sunspots, and determined the Earth was round. With advances in astronomy came great advances in mathematics, as Muslims perfected calculus, geometry, and trigonometry. They also advanced the idea of zero as a circle-shaped symbol, as if to symbolize an empty bowl. Caliph al-Ma'mun created the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. Muslim scholars were especially interested in ancient Greek thinkers like Aristotle, Euclid, Archimedes, and Galen, who were at the time of little interest in Christian Europe. The most important of all the arts for Muslims was the use of the Arabic language, the language Muhammad used to speak the divine revelations of Allah. Islamic law was meticulously developed. Muslim jurists created a judicial system based on Sharia, which was based on the Quran and the Hadith. War between Christianity and Islam. A major confrontation was brewing between the empires of Islam and Christendom. In 1061, the Christians launched the Reconquista to reconquer Spain, resulting in the expulsion of the Muslims to Morocco. However, in 1071, the Muslims defeated Byzantine troops at the Battle of Manzikert, bringing them closer to the long-held Islamic goal of conquering Constantinople. The Crusades. Throughout Europe, religious Christians were incensed that the land where Jesus had lived was governed by Muslims and that many Christians had converted to Islam. In 1095, Pope Urban II urged Christians across Europe to form armies of hundreds of thousands to fight the Muslims, and the First Crusade was launched. In 1099, the Christian Crusaders captured Jerusalem, establishing the First Crusader state. However, they also committed atrocities, slaying thousands of Jews and Muslims along the route. In 1187, Muslims led by Salah al-Din, Saladin, one of Islam's most fabled military leaders, retook Jerusalem and drove out the infidels. For the next 100 years, more crusades were launched from Europe, only to be defeated each time by Muslim forces. By 1300, the crusading mood of Christian Europe was exhausted. However, while Christian warriors had expected to find barbarians in the Middle East, they were instead shocked to discover an Islamic society vastly superior to European culture. Christian Constantinople falls to Islam. The Ottomans took political power and adopted Islam. The new Ottoman Muslim rulers waged jihad to expand the Ummah. On April 22, 1453, Sultan Mehmed II advanced on Constantinople with 100,000 soldiers and 125 ships. 2 days later, the 1,100-year-old Christian city fell into Muslim hands. Mehmed II renamed himself the Conqueror and renamed Constantinople Istanbul. He had all elements of Christianity destroyed and made Istanbul the new capital of the Islamic Empire. The Ottomans conquered Serbia in 1459, Bosnia in 1463, and Herzegovina in 1483. The Ottoman forces brought important European cities under their control, including Athens, Malta, Cyprus, and Bulgaria, as well as the Balkans, Armenia, and Anatolia. Islam conquers India. Between the late 12th and 14th centuries, Muslim armies penetrated northwest India. Mahmud of Ghazni, a Muslim who led many raids on northern India, wrote, "The whole country of India is full of gold and jewels, aromatic plants and sugarcane. Since the inhabitants are chiefly infidels and idolaters, by the order of God and His Prophet, it is right for us to conquer them." However, Islamic beliefs were completely incompatible with the indigenous Indian culture. Hindus believed in polytheism as part of divinity, while Muslims believed in only one God. Hindus believed in reincarnation, while Islam believed in only one life. Muslims abstained from alcohol, and Hindus did not. India had evolved a caste class system over hundreds of years, segmenting the population according to economic, social, and religious considerations. Muslims rejected the caste system, instead emphasizing the Islamic ideas of equality and brotherhood amongst Muslims. In the late 16th century, Muslim conquerors helped spread Islam deeper into India, as far as Indonesia. The greatest of them was an emperor named Akbar, who was known for building the great Taj Mahal. A new challenge. The 16th century saw Islamic reign at its peak. However, Islam's power would decline. A new challenge was on the horizon that would devastate the Islamic world. This invasion was coming not from an army or another faith, but from machines. The empire in decline. The invasion of the West. Military decline.